a good ball played in for Tony Morley. Oh, he missed it! It is! Peekaboo! Villa in the lead!
Hello, Aston Villa fans, and welcome to the Villa Forever podcast. I am your host, Chad Williams. Please subscribe, and you can follow me on Spotify, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Let's spread awareness of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Remember to smash the like button on this video. Tonight, I'm joined by my special guest, Neil Dunworth, who has been on my show now quite a few times. He's the host of For the Love of Paul McGrath, Aston Villa podcast. This is the pre-match talk show. I'll be doing the match preview episode as Aston Villa take on Juventus at Villa Park on Wednesday night. It is at 8 p.m. kickoff under the lights. And tonight, the 12th man is very important. And it's going to be another special atmosphere. And it was return of Douglas Luiz. We want to get a result tonight. We need to give a similar performance to that Bayern Munich game. We need a tactical masterclass. After the Champions League against Club Brugge, can we bring a reaction? And we are without a win after 6 games. We're up against 2-time European Cup winners, Juventus. A pleasure to have you on the show, Neil. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks a million for having me on again, Chad. It's great to be back again. I'm really looking forward to this game tonight. A game, as you mentioned there, that under the lights, the 12th man is going to be very much needed. The whole end is going to be needed to try and suck that ball into the net a couple of times tonight, and hopefully they can they will see a few goals, and the Aston Villa will come out of this on the right end, because, as you mentioned, we haven't exactly been winning games over the last month or so. So it's time to change that again tonight.
Well, I'm lucky enough to go into the game tonight.
Oh, excellent.
I'll be there at Pat's Villa Park. And I always look forward to the European nights. They're very special.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know there's quite a lot of people coming over. So I'm part of in Ireland. We've got lots of Villa fans here, and we've got a very vibrant Aston Villa supporters club. Paddy, who does the podcast with me, he's the chairman of the Munster Lions supporters club, and there's a couple of guys going from his. There's a couple of guys coming from his club over. There's a couple of guys going from my club up here. The Connacht Lions and the Dublin Lions have a ton of people going over as well. So Ireland will be well represented in Villa Park as well tonight, and I know that they're all absolutely looking forward to this, because, as you mentioned, Juventus is a big ticket game. They're a big team, and a team that's a lot of pedigree in Europe. So, like, what's not to love about nights like tonight?
And it's a great occasion. And I think, I went to the Bayern Munich game not long ago. And that was an incredible night. It'd be great if you could top off another night like that tonight.
Yeah, I agree. And 3 points. Even when you look at the table at the moment, obviously we've played one game less than a lot of teams that are there, but 3 points brings us right back up into the top. It brings us up into joint second again, depending on goal difference. So, and obviously with this Juventus team being a bit depleted tonight, they won't have all their stars. We should capitalize, or we should feel that we should be able to capitalize on that, and it's up to the players in the field to go out and do that tonight.
Well, so tonight it's going to be the Douglas Luiz derby. So what do you expect from Aston Villa versus Juventus?
Yeah, it's in a way I'm happy he's not playing. In another way, I'm a bit disappointed he's not playing as well, because look, I want the best for players even if they leave our club. But what do I expect from the game today? It's the fact that Juventus only have 14 outfield players that have made the travel they made the trip to Villa Park, and they brought 3 goalkeepers. To me, I think Villa have to look at that and go, we have a huge upper hand here. The fact that we'll be able to make 5 subs, the likes of everybody in that team should be thinking to themselves, well, okay, I'm happy to come off after 60 minutes tonight, but I'm only happy to come off if I've emptied every ounce of energy out of the tank from minute 0 to minute 60. Because we've got those extra 2 substitutions, I think we should, that obviously, that must, regardless of whether you think that we've got good substitutes or not, that has to give us a leg up. But I don't want people to fall into the trap of thinking that just because Juventus have brought 14 outfield players that they're going to be missing creativity, missing a spark, and missing some quality players. They're 14 really, really good players that they're going to have brought today. So Villa are going to need to bring their A game regardless.
I'm actually expecting this guy. I think we'll turn up for this guy because we're usually up for it. Against the bigger teams.
Yeah, I agree, and you know what? It's funny because you might actually say that that's a criticism of Aston Villa lately, is that we show up for the big teams, and then in games that we're supposed to go and win,
Crystal Palace.
Crystal Palace, we would have been expected to go and get a result there. Ipswich, we would have been expected to get a result. I know Bournemouth are flying on a really, really good run of results at the moment. We would have been expected to hold on to our 1-0 lead there. We would have been expected to go to Manchester United and have been a bit more creative than we were. So, and Club Brugge obviously as well. So, yes, we do show up in the big games, and I'm absolutely thankful and delighted for that. And I hope we do it tonight. But what I would say is that, that personally, I don't see it that way, that it is a criticism, but I see it as, I think you should take every game in a silo and make sure that you should make sure that, every game is taken on its own merits. But it's going to be really interesting to see what the team is tonight. I think that Aston Villa go out with and see what way they are going to play against this Juventus team.
Well, we've got a real point to prove tonight. I think we'll come out fighting with Unai Emery. And also, it's going to be a very interesting battle between Thiago Motta and Unai Emery. As well, very detailed with their tactics.
Yeah, you're right. Like, Thiago Motta obviously gained his stripes last year with the Bologna team that we've also played this season. He's obviously not manager of Bologna anymore. He got his move to Juventus, got Bologna into the Champions League. He's a very detail-driven manager. I think in his mind, and I don't know what the Juventus hierarchy seem to think of it, but for me, I think he's been doing a really good job so far. But they're trying to reshape this team while staying really, really competitive, which is difficult to do. And also, they're not made of money either. But you have to say that Thiago Motta's initial few months in the job have been very successful. Okay, a lot of people, and I follow a lot of Italian football, and I follow a lot of Italian football media, and a lot of people are Juventus fans themselves are actually criticizing the signing of Douglas Luiz at the moment. But
he has been on the bench a lot.
He has been on the bench a lot, and when he's come on, he's given away penalties, and he's. It's funny that it's that you think the slower type of game would suit him because of his great range of passing and how much he's able to get on the ball, but he's just found the acclimatization, I think, to the Italian game a small bit different, which is completely natural. But Motta on a whole has gotten a real tune out of this Juventus team. But the big thing that I've seen from them so far is that what he's really done is he's trusted young players. Really trusted young players, especially in the attacking side of things. He's brought in Conceição. and he's been a revelation since he's came in. And also that Kenan Yildiz, the Turkish striker that was at the Juventus next gen team, he's brought him into the first team, and my God, has he created waves. He's somebody that I'm really looking forward to seeing tonight. Albeit, I hope his touches are a million miles from goals, and that he does all these flicks and tricks and all his beautiful play away from our goal and not putting it in the back of our net, because he's a real danger man. He's a super talent.
And Thiago Motta, he likes to adapt their formation a lot. He's been known to actually play the 2-7-2 formation.
Yeah. He trusts his two centre halves, and why wouldn't you, I suppose, really, with Gatti as one of those centre halves. He's a superb defender, a defender that's really kind of blossomed in the last few years. He got an Italian call-up, and it was like he just realised how good he was, and then just became so good after that, So yeah, why not trust your defenders, specifically in the Italian league, when defense comes first and everything else follows. Thiago Motta definitely understands that as a philosophy, and he trusts his two centre halves. Now, can we catch them on the break like we've been caught on the break when we've been in possession? Let's see. But they've got a lot of pace in their wide areas.
Corners.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're getting caught out.
Yeah, hopefully that gets addressed today, because we will get caught again from corners with Conceição's pace. Whoever plays on the other side, if it's Mbagula plays on the other side, or if it's it's going to be interesting regardless, because the four midfielders they brought are all very central-minded midfielders. So do they go with three in midfield and play four from the top, if you want to call it? They had issues. They actually didn't get to Birmingham until really late last night, because they had some visa issues with some of their players. There was some of their players that were stuck in Birmingham Airport with visa issues. So they've had a disrupted trip as well. They didn't get to do a session on Villa Park on the Villa Park pitch last night, because of visa issues as well. But so they're really coming into this as an unknown entity, and with only 14 players, you think we'd be able to pick what their team is going to be, but we absolutely can't. So it's going to be really interesting to see.
What it is, sloppy mistakes. They keep repeating themselves. They can't keep happening. I think we need to control possession. I think whoever controls the possession the most will win the game. I think it's going to be one of those games. It's going to have a fast-paced tempo. And I think Villa will need to thrive on the energy of the crowd.
Yeah, I agree. The possession thing specifically, Chad, I think is really important. And with Aston Villa having those extra two substitutes in their locker, I think that we should go out to dominate possession. We should go out to pass this ball around, make sure we're consistently making Juventus move around the field. Like this game, anything could go wrong for Juventus in this game. Anything could go wrong for Aston Villa in this game. But Juventus pick up an injury early on. They need to make a forced substitution. As I mentioned, they've only four midfielders. They've only six defenders. And they've only four strikers. That's what they are. So they pick up an injury early on. They have to change things up and change things around. But the way that Aston Villa should approach this game is own the ball, tire the other team out, make them make their substitutions, and see what happens from there. But I don't think either team is going to look for. I don't think Juventus will come looking for a 0-0 draw. And I certainly don't think Unai Emery would look for a 0-0 draw. So it's we have to respect the Juventus at the same time, and they're going to look to break. They're going to look to want to draw us on, and they're going to look to play very deep and very low, and then catch us on the counter attack and conserve energy in defense, and then break on the attack, and then utilize their three subs. But how Villa adapt to that? Do Villa go with two up top? Do we bring in two up top and see, and I'd see if we can do that? I don't know. So the team sheet tonight is going to be really important.
Have you seen the team news? I know Kamara and Konsa are back. And is Douglas Luiz on the bench for Juventus?
No, Douglas Luiz didn't travel at all. He's not at the game. That's a shame. Yeah. No, he didn't travel. He didn't travel with the squad at all. He's I don't know whether he's going to be there in a personal capacity, but he won't be playing tonight. Picked up an injury, as did their big striker Dusan Vlahovic. They've had quite a lot of
Okay.
injuries recently, yeah. So they're only able to name 14 players in their
Well,
travelling
hopefully
squad.
we can take advantage of that.
Yeah, I think we can. Yeah.
And I think going back to what I said at the intro, I think we need that same approach to the Bayern Munich game. Similar tactics to that, whatever he did last time.
Yep. I think drawing it, like, if we can draw them out of their defensive structure, we will be able to do that. But with regards to, I suppose, I don't think Emery will have actually gone out with that as a massive plan. And the reason being is because I think Juventus are just going to sit very deep, but I could be proven wrong. If Juventus come to play and come to try and own the ball as well, then maybe we can work something out from that point of view from Bayern Munich. But I think it's more so the concentration. We've seen players not be sloppy, as you mentioned before. We've seen players not concentrating for the full 90 minutes. And we've been the masters of our own downfall from that point of view.
And keep clean sheets.
Yeah.
We don't seem to get, we don't keep clean sheets.
Haven't been able to do it for the last 18 months, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But and whatever about keeping clean sheets, you know, you have to worry, I suppose, really at the moment. We're scoring maybe 1 goal a game, 2 goals a game sometimes, you know, but when we go 1 goal down, we have to chase the game as well. So I'm all for Aston Villa keeping it tight early on today, running Juventus around the place, and then if we can win this 1-0, I'd be absolutely delighted.
So let's talk about Douglas Luiz. So how much did Aston Villa miss Douglas Luiz?
As the season has gone on, a lot of Twitter fans, a lot of people like that, they're lamenting Douglas Luiz currently because of the run that we're on. But from the point of view of our style of play, Youri Tielemans has been a more than adequate stand-in and has actually surpassed him in a lot of ways. Would I still like to have
without no, not having to do as well.
Sorry,
without no.
Correct. Yeah, correct. I'd love to have Douglas Luiz. I'd love to have Douglas Luiz still in my team. Like, don't get me wrong. I would love to have him still at Aston Villa, but I don't think Douglas Luiz not being in the team has anything at all to do with how we're playing currently at the moment. I think it's more to do with, I think Konsa has been the bigger miss this season. I think the instability at centre half and in the back four has been the bigger issue for me this season. So but I love Douglas Luiz as a player, one of my favourite players over the last 5 years. Sad to see him go. And wish him nothing but the best. But I think Aston Villa have dealt with him not being around with Youri Tielemans.
Yeah, and also I think what Douglas Luiz used to do, we had good success with that double pivot. He combined very well with Boubacar Kamara.
Yep.
Offering protection.
And that's where I think that Aston Villa missed more than Douglas Luiz, is that stability in that pivot as well. If Boubacar Kamara can last 90 minutes tonight, I'm playing Boubacar. I'm starting him. Thank you, Ross Barkley, for a great game at the weekend. I think from a stability and a structural point of view, Boubacar Kamara in there beside Tielemans. If you need to take him off after 70 minutes and bring Ross Barkley on, fine. But I think from a structural point of view, if we can get 70 minutes out of him, I'm starting Boubacar Kamara. Like he's the third name on the team sheet after Emi Martinez, Ezri Konsa. Boubacar Kamara for me.
Well, he's key because he puts out the fire.
Absolutely.
And also, Douglas Luiz. I think the thing we miss about him as well is finding that killer pass, the orchestrating the key attacks.
Would you believe we've actually created more chances this year than we did last year without Douglas Luiz? But
that's interesting.
I think the biggest we've not taken them is the bigger issue here. So I agree with you to have another person that can do it. So a lot of this has been on the shoulders of Morgan Rogers and
Yeah.
Yuri Tielemans. A lot of it has been in the shoulders. If we had somebody like Douglas Luiz, and this is why I say that Aston Villa have coped with missing Douglas Luiz, but
Yeah.
I would look if we had him in our team. Imagine how much better we would be. So to be able to bring him on or to be able to roll him in and play him with Tielemans or whatever the case may be to break down teams. But I think what we missed from Douglas Luiz is at the start of last season, at the early part, Douglas Luiz scored a hell of a lot of goals. I think we've missed more of his goal scoring piece. Like we've scored some goals from midfield, absolutely. But Douglas Luiz at the start of the season last year, he was scoring penalties, he was scoring he was scoring from play as well, and I missed that. Yeah, I missed that.
You don't think Douglas Luiz, he was our best penalty taker in our team?
He was. And we haven't everybody wondered who our penalty taker was going to be, and then it was Tielemans, and Tielemans stuck one straight at Dean. It was a decent save, but it wasn't a brilliant penalty.
It would have been a different game if that went in.
Oh, hugely, yeah.
And also, what I liked about Douglas Luiz as well, he had good technical ability. And I just think, really, he was the complete midfielder.
I agree. Yeah, I think he was very good. But on the ball, okay, at times he gave away frees in the middle of midfield, but he broke up play as well. Yeah.
But I'm really thinking it wasn't for PSR. For PSR reasons, he would have stayed.
I think Unai Emery or Monchi, should I say, has more or less said exactly the same. They didn't want to sell him. The offer was too good. The way they could structure it would satisfy PSR, and essentially, if you read between the lines, we didn't get a 10-point deduction all because we sold Douglas Luiz. So yeah.
And also coming back to Villa Park, I know tonight he won't be playing, but it's still going to be an emotional return for him. And he spent 5 years at Aston Villa. And he just developed over the years. He got better and better.
He did, and when we signed him, we signed him from Man City. Man City had brought him in. They couldn't get a work permit for him, and he went on loan to Girona at the time. And Pep Guardiola at the time did not want to sell him. Villa came in with a bit of, I can't remember how much we bought him for. Was it
Man City? Was he a buyout clause or something?
Yeah, so when we bought him, they had a buyback clause for 30 million or something like that added in, but it lasted for 2 years, I think was the case. And then they didn't take that up at the time. I can't remember who they went and signed. Did they signed Mario Kovacic, I think, instead of taking up his buyback clause. But when they sold him, Pep didn't want to sell him, but they knew they wouldn't get a work permit for him because of the way that their club was structured, whereas Aston Villa would, because we'd just come up from the Championship. The threshold for getting work permit was lower for us, so we profited from it, and I think it was a great bit of business from. I think it was Pitash that signed him. He was the director of football at the time. Yeah.
So you can remember when that first game when he scored against Bournemouth, I think it was. And I think how young he was then with dreadlocks. I think he's come such a long way since then.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. 20, I think he was 20 when he joined the club. 21,
yeah, it was. Maybe. Yeah. They'll say that was it. I don't know what I missed more. I think I missed Alicia Lyman as well.
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah. She hasn't been having a great time with Venturian either, I don't think.
No, she hasn't been enjoying herself, no.
No, it doesn't. From a footballing point of view, it doesn't seem to be either. But also, I think their house was robbed, if I remember rightly, as well.
400,000 worth of jewelry.
Jeez, yeah. That's going to sting anybody, I think, yeah.
Well, yeah, because I was gutted when she left, because I've got a calendar.
Did you get... I remember they broke up over that calendar and then they got back together again. Yeah.
And were they the first couple to actually like sign for a club at the same time.
I think they were. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were.
they were, yeah.
Mm.
So we'll talk about the Juventus manager. So what do you think of Thiago Motta?
Yeah, I think he's a good manager. I think he's a very good young up and coming manager. Obviously, a fantastic player in his day. And what I love about him is what I love about his mindset and how he's kind of approached the game of football is he's kind of learned up from his mistakes. He's been judicious about the clubs he's joined, and I'm not going to say he took his time joining Juventus, but he's kind of done an
Yeah,
apprenticeship prior to it. That works out for a lot of managers. For some managers, should I say, and for others, it doesn't. Like we talk about great midfielders that have gone on to become managers. We talk about Steven Gerrard in our situation. Didn't really work for him. He wasn't the man behind the plan. As it has drastically turned out, considering he's gone back to Mike Beale again in Saudi Arabia. You look at Frank Lampard, who got it right at Derby, didn't get it right at Everton, didn't get it right at Chelsea, and he now looks like he's going to get another job again
yeah.
at Coventry. I think if he had his time back again, he wouldn't have gone from Derby to. He would have stayed at Derby or maybe made
The
another
ex,
more lateral move
the
to learn.
ex-players don't always work.
God, they definitely don't. They definitely don't always work. No. No, but Mata's done really well. And he's an intelligent guy and he's a good speaker and he's a commanding type of presence who has done a lot in his own career as well. So he has
Yeah.
the mental side of things to be a good manager, I think.
I mean, Motta as well. He's played for some big European clubs, including
Absolutely.
PSG,
Yep.
Inter Milan. So yeah,
Um
he's had a great playing career, hasn't he?
I think he played with Barcelona as well, didn't he? I think
Yeah,
he
yeah,
played.
and Barcelona, yeah.
Yeah, so he's seen some really good managers and he's seen the inside of some really really big stadiums as well, and I think that's definitely. And look, I suppose as well. Remember when I was talking about Frank Lampard and Steven Gerrard there as well? I think there's a lot to be said. They were two essentially during their actual proper playing careers. They were two one club men. They spent a
Yeah.
lot of time in their careers at Chelsea and at Liverpool respectively.
Mhm.
And sometimes the moving around from club to club, seeing the different ways that different cultures assimilate, or that you have to assimilate into different cultures. Somebody like Mata has probably gained an awful lot in his own managerial career from that, about how to deal with certain people, deal with different situations, deal with different public reactions based on culture and based on countries and stuff like that as well. Whereas in a way, you couldn't say a bad word about Steven Gerrard or Frank Lampard ever, because they were at the same club and everybody loved them from the second they stepped in the door. So I'd love to do a study on that to see which one works out best. Which would be interesting.
And also, I like the way Motta that he's brought his own philosophy from Bologna to Juventus. He hasn't changed who he is.
No. And that shows the character and of the guy himself, I suppose. If you want me to manage your team, you're going to get me to manage your team my way. And once again, we go back to a tough tackling defensive midfielder who was very good with the ball at his feet. He knows, he backs himself. He knows, as you say, he backed himself to move to come up through the Barcelona B squad down to Barcelona, then to go play with Atletico Madrid. Think he played with. Think he didn't do too well at Atletico. I remember reading who he played for. I think he went to Genoa, and then his career kicked off at Genoa to Inter Milan, and then obviously he played tons of times for Paris Saint-Germain. So yeah, he's going to be his own man. Put it that way, and I think Juventus fans love that about a manager. They've had it previously in Antonio Conte. They've had it previously in Max Allegri. They've had it previously in Fabian Capello, even going back. So they love a strong leader that will do it his way. So he definitely fits the bill from that point of view.
And I was reading as well that he's 42.
Yeah.
She's quite a young manager still.
Yeah. He's only 2.5 years older than me, which is, and I certainly haven't. I'm certainly not going to be managing Juventus anytime soon.
I reminded you about your age.
And remember, it. It's really like he's had a really interesting career. Like he played for Brazil twice, and then
Yeah.
like he played for Brazil when he was. Oh, I wish I had a Wikipedia open now in front of me so I could see it. I think he played for Brazil like back in 2002, 2003. And then he didn't play for Italy then until like 2011 or 12. So there was a 9-year period of him making his international debut for one country and then actually switching allegiance to play for another country. So, he's backed himself throughout his whole career and been very, very, as a young player. So he played international football as a young player. If he was, he must have made his debut for Brazil at 20, 21.
Yeah, something like
and
that,
then and didn't make his Italy debut till maybe 29, 30. So he's backed himself throughout his whole career, whether he was young or whether he was old. So very, very good determination and mentality that he seems to have.
Because even though he was born in Brazil, he's half Italian as well.
Yep.
He's got half and half.
Mm.
I mean, both top two football nations.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
I don't think I'm talking about Thiago Motta as well. A bit like what Unai Emery does as well. He likes to adapt the formation. He likes to tweak depending on the game's going, or depending on the opposition as well.
Again, it's another sign of a good manager. And as a defensive midfielder, you're always scanning the field to see what formational changes are being made, and whether you're the captain or not, you're usually kind of barking out instructions to your fullbacks and making sure that your two centre halves, or you should be doing this if you're a good defensive midfielder anyway, is your two centre halves know where you're going to be. They know when you're going to engage and attack or maybe go further up the field. So defensive midfielders in a lot of ways are best placed to see formational changes and to try and move people around the field when they're in their playing days. So I'm not surprised to see that he's done that as a manager as well. That adaptability is highly commendable, yeah.
And he's got a very good tactical mindset. And going back to what I said earlier, that the 2-7-2 formation, he's changed the evolution of football.
We'll see about that tonight. If Aston Villa score 5 goals against him, then it will evolve backwards.
Not as good as Emery, though.
No, not as good as Emery. Look, I think in the Italian league for sure you can do that and you can press so high up. Especially like once again I go back to him. Gatti, the defender that they have, is just for me he's right up there with one of the best defenders in the world at the moment. Yeah. And I think you can do that when you've got somebody who can cover the ground that he can, when you've got somebody that can win the ball in the air like he can. But I think Ollie Watkins is the type of striker that he may not like playing against, a striker that's going to try and drag him out of position. Be interesting to see who plays in there beside him. I can't remember the 6 defenders that they have, but it'll be interesting to see who they name in there beside him. Maybe they name Danilo in there. Maybe he plays on the right hand side. Yes. They'll have Andrea Cambiasso there as well. And I just cannot remember who the other person who the other centre half that they may have is there. But moving around him is going to be very important. And if we can target him in a way, and that's why I think we might play two strikers tonight. If we do play 2 strikers and we alternate Watkins dragging him out of position and Duran going at him like the battering ram, and we alternate between, and we continue to go through the middle and not out wide, I think we could get them turning an awful lot, and I think we could disrupt that 2-7-2 formation that they play, or that 2-7-1 or whatever it is formation that they play. I really do think we can do that, and we can bypass their midfield. If we play one up top and we try and break wide players, I'm not as sure as we can do that, because I'm just less sure that we can get away with doing that. I think the alternation of 2 strikers or 2 people going at their 2 centre halves, if they do that, will give us much better opportunity. But I'm not Unai Emery, so I'm only good in Football Manager. He's done it in real games, so I'll trust whatever he's Whatever he comes up with.
I'll tell you what as well. Leon Bailey, he needs a goal, that guy, to boost his confidence. But I don't think last game though. He played a lot better.
I think so. I agree. If that one cannons in off the bar against Crystal Palace, just after we'd scored the equaliser from Ollie Watkins, we see a different different Leon Bailey. And you're dead right. Leon Bailey scores a goal tonight. I think he comes out with a bit more pomp and circumstance. He starts to begin to believe, because he's very much a guy who needs to love himself, needs to love how he's playing to play well. He's not a guy who can build up his own confidence himself. He needs to have outcomes on the field that make him feel good about his game. That's a mental frailty, but he's a good player and he can come over that and overcome that, should I say. And I think Unai Emery will be able to get the best out of him from that point of view. And he believes he can, because he's done it before.
And look what Bailey does as well. He likes to get to that byline and cross it in the box or cut it across.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he does. And he... I'd like, I don't think we'll see as much of that today. I think we're going to see him cutting in off that right-hand side and having more shots for his left, because he got a lot of goals like that last season. I think this might offer the opportunity to do it, depending on what midfield they play. But yeah, I just really want to see him cut inside and just unleash one with his left foot and for it to hit the top corner and drive Villa Park mad. And I hope you get to see that tonight.
Oh, yeah. I don't think Watkins and Rodgers are going to score.
I'll take that.
That's my prediction.
Strikers scoring, forward players scoring, getting confidence, because as I say, we've created a lot of chances. We just haven't taken a lot of those chances, and we're not scoring as many goals as we did last year. Is paramount. So yeah, get all the confidence we possibly can in our strike force.
And I would miss as well. I miss Musa Diaby. He's a good impact player to have.
Yeah, I think so. I'm going to say something that's a bit controversial about Musa Diaby. When we had him, the fan base didn't want him. Not you, obviously, no, but go on Twitter. Oh, like I'm like you. I appreciate him when he was here. I thought he was good. I understood his role. A lot of people gave out about him when he was here, and now a lot of people are going, "Ooh, wish we still had him." And I can't help but think that look, the money in Saudi Arabia is absolutely huge, and the money we got for him was absolutely huge as well.
Money talks.
It does, yeah, it does.
And also, there was linked with Joe Felix for a while as well.
Yeah. I think we've been proven. I think we've all seen Joe Felix, and Chelsea are such they're a club at the moment where nobody can really seem. Barcole Palmer can seem to get a run of form. So Joe Felix isn't playing an awful lot. He scored a few goals, but I just don't know how he would have performed in this team if we'd signed him. Yeah.
So I'm going to talk about Juventus players as well. So which Juventus players do you think will pose the biggest threat tonight?
Kenan Yildiz. I think Kenan Yildiz is a very, very special player. I think Francesco Conceição is a very, very special player. Two very young players. I think in midfield, Team Coop Miners. I just every time I close my eyes thinking about this game, I see him kind of. I see him breaking through in midfield and hitting one from outside the box and putting it in the top corner. He's a fantastic player. Coop Miners. So those guys, and then obviously I've mentioned him a couple of times as well. Gatti, the centre half as well. So for me, the two young guys in Conceição and Yildiz up top are really special players. They're really fast, tricky players we don't deal well with. Midfield, Coop Miners, and like they're four midfielders they've brought would all get in our team. Locatelli, Coop Miners, Kefir Touram, and Nicola Fagioli would all get into our midfield. Or they would all be welcome additions, to our squad. I don't know what they get into our midfield, the way that we play, but they would all be welcome additions. I would take every single one of those if I had the opportunity. They're fantastic players. So they've got a lot of danger players, but I'm going to be looking out for Kenan Yildiz, the young Turkish striker, Cancelo, the Portuguese midfielder, and Tien Koopmeiners, the Dutch central
Yeah.
midfielder. That's what I'm going to be looking out for.
Also, Weston McKenna. We was linked
Pardon?
to it. We was linked
Oh yeah,
to Weston McKenna.
he's not going to be traveling either. Yeah, he's injured.
Injured.
Yeah, he's injured. Yeah, he's injured.
What about Tiram?
Thuram is traveling. Yeah, he's in the squad. Yeah, Thuram is there. Lilian Thuram's and Lilian Thuram's son, Marcus Thuram's brother. Yeah, he's there.
And also, let's talk about Juventus, the football club. So, would you say Juventus, one of the elite European teams?
Yes, I think you have to say that. Multiple European Cup winners, I think you have to say they're elite. But I think the way they've done it as well makes them elite. You know, I'm going to go down the route here and say that, you know, some teams that have won it more recently have done it by throwing money at the problem. Juventus won, and while they spent money, don't get me wrong, they did back in the mid 90s. There was a romance about football then. You know, there was some really good decisions. They beat some really good teams, and
They gave it Del Piero.
Yeah, Del Piero. They had, like, even you go back, like, when I think of Juventus, I think of players like Fabrizio Ravanelli, Gianluca Vialli, rest in peace, Gianluca Vialli, an absolute gentleman who was taken too soon. Del Piero, of course, one of the most, I would go so far as to say, as you know, as time ticks on outside of Italy, he would be underrated and forgotten, which is a shame because he's been fantastic. You know, you even then look back at some of the players they've had more recently, even like Bonucci, Chiellini, Pavel Nedved, all those guys. You know, they've always been a glamour team. You know, and definitely I would have them up there. Definitely in my lifetime, they're a big draw in Europe, and would for me definitely be an elite European team for sure, 100%.
And also, you got the goalkeeper. Do you have Buffon?
They did. Yeah, they did used to have Buffon.
Legend for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
But when I think of Juventus, I think they're in that category of elite teams. And they've won that Famous Trophy twice. And also, I did read about them as well. That they've got great record in European competitions.
They do. Yeah. And the amount of times they've won the Italian league as well, you know, they don't call them the old lady of Turin for nothing. You know, they're just steeped in history, and they're steeped in history and steeped in they just know how to win. They always have, and hopefully they forget that tonight when they come to Villa Park.
And as well, they're the second most successful Italian team in European competitions.
After AC Milan, I would imagine.
After AC Milan,
yeah.
When you think of the likes of Juventus, they're up there with AC Milan and Inter Milan. The likes of Roma, Napoli, you know, teams like that.
Yep. That again, look, Italian football owned. It owned the European footballing landscape for quite a lot of the late 80s, early 90s, and that's when AC Milan and Juventus did most of their winning. But they're still really well run clubs. They're clubs who have a lot of allure, and they bring eyeballs to the league, and everybody, like, a lot of people wanted this ticket over the Bayern Munich ticket. You know, so that just goes to show how like I've been promised tickets to the Celtic game. That was the only game I wanted to go to. Obviously, being Irish, the only game I wanted to go to was the Celtic game. But you know, if my family situation was a bit different, I would have gone to this game. If I could have got a ticket, this would have been the one I would have wanted to go to because of the tactical matchup that we would see against Juventus, and because of the history that they bring. Such a special club for me because when I was growing up, they were the top dogs. I didn't follow them in Italian football. I am an AC Milan
Yeah.
fan. I watch out for AC Milan's
Yeah.
results the whole time. But Juventus, you have to pat them on the back for everything they've done, because they've stayed so successful for so long in Italy and in European football that they're the epitome of, albeit that they have had some scandal in their history, they're the epitome of winners. Yeah.
And then Fabio Cannavaro.
Yes.
Did he play for
Mhm.
Juventus?
He did. Yeah. Yeah.
Does he? Yeah, I got that right. Yeah.
I'm 90% certain he did. Yeah, I mean, I'm questioning myself on Cannavaro actually, but I'm going to say I'm 99% certain he did. I don't know why I'm blanking on that.
Well, in
Yes.
general, though, yeah, shit. I got it right then, yeah.
He did. Yeah, he played for Juventus before and after Real Madrid. Yeah, he did. I knew I had it. I knew I wasn't dreaming that.
I want to talk about Italian football. They are very loyal and passionate fans. Like the city of cheering as well.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. That triangle at the north in the north of the country, up at the top of the country, on the northern border. Yeah, it's a footballing hotbed, as you say. All Italian fans. I'm very fortunate to work with a lot of Italian people in the job that I do.
Yeah.
And I work with two guys from Sardinia. I work with one guy from who lives from
been
Rome.
there.
Yeah, Sardinia. I've not been to Sardinia, but I'd love to go. And I work with two guys from Turin as well. And they get into some really, really heated conversations over football. So passion is definitely what they bring to the table for sure.
And I think Italy as well. It's one of my favourite places. Favourite places I've visited.
Me too. Love Rome. Love Rome.
I've been to Rome. I've been to the Vatican.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
And Tuscany.
Yeah, I've only been to Rome when I've ever been to Italy, but I love it. I love Italian culture. I love Italian food. I love the pace of life in Italy as well. Yeah, so it's definitely somewhere I'd love to go back to again.
We're going to come to one more.
Yep.
What is the big difference between Serie A and Premier League football?
Oh, I'm going to have to go with the stereotypical answer for this one. It's the pace of the game. It's the way midfields are used. So for me, for everybody, the first thing people say is, "Oh yeah, the pace of the game in Italy is a lot slower." And yes, that's technically correct, but it's the way midfields are utilized. I think anyway, my hypothesis is it's the way that midfields are utilized in England. They're very much a case of get the ball, get forward. Whereas in Italy the midfield work moves as a unit. In England, wingers move like somebody gets the ball and the winger is gone. Tries to make up the ground, tries to create that press higher up the field. When you're out of possession and when you're in possession in Italy, midfields are used slightly differently. Some people will say that it's an outdated system, the way the Italian midfields move. I'm not so sure, because look, Italian teams go far in Europe every year, so it's a case of they know how to defend. They know how to keep their spaces right. So the difference for me between the two is the pace of the game and how midfielders are like midfielders in English game are obviously lauded, but you go back through the years in Italy, you've had unbelievably good number 6s and number 10s in Italy, from the likes of Francesco Totti, Andrea Pirlo, Daniele De Rossi. I'm blanking on a couple more now, obviously, but I could go on and on and on. And Clarence Seedorf, all these guys. Yeah, they've had some cracking players, and all you've got to do is Italians love the midfield so much that every single position has a beautiful name, like a three-quarterista or whatever. You know, they name every single position individually. And yes, it's footballing hipsterism at the moment. But Italians believe that every single position in midfield has to work as a unit and has to have a specific job. Whereas in England, you're kind of seen as
Yeah.
you're seen as a 6 or an 8, and you're more of a functionality. Whereas in Italy, they work. Everybody has a job, and everybody has to. You have to work as a unit. You've got a defined role. I know they have that in England. I'm not making a very good way of describing this, but just the reverence that they give the midfield position in Italy is almost above anything else. So the difference for me is definitely the pace.
La Liga. Do you prefer La Liga or Serie A? If you have to choose, you have to pick one.
I think I have to go with La Liga just from they
Yeah.
both do. Like if I'm sitting down on a Sunday and there's a game on, put it this way. Actually, I'll put it this way to you: if AC Milan are playing against Torino, let's call it,
Yes.
and you have Atletico Madrid playing against Cadiz, I'm going to watch AC Milan against Torino because I think it's going to be a better game. And what I'm getting at here is, I think the drop off between the top and the bottom in Serie A, or the top and the middle in Serie A, is less than it is in La Liga, because you've got such a big drop off between the top three in La Liga and everybody else that sometimes you're just watching games to see how many Lewandowski can score, how many Vinicius. I don't enjoy watching Real Madrid because it's just a case of how many they can score. So I prefer the excitement of La Liga, but I almost appreciate Serie A football more, if that makes sense. You know, you're more likely to get a more competitive game in Serie A than you are in La Liga, albeit the Serie A game might be a bit more boring.
That's interesting. So I want to know that. I'm going to my last point.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is your score prediction for Juventus and the Chelsea game as well?
I'm going to go 1-0 Aston Villa tonight.
Yeah.
I'm going to go 1-0.
Positive.
And against Chelsea, I can't remember, are we at home or away? I think we're away at Chelsea, aren't we?
Yeah. Stamford Bridge.
I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw against Chelsea.
You know what? Well, I've gone for tonight. Aston Villa 2, Juventus 1.
Take that.
Then I got Chelsea 1, Aston Villa 1, draw at the weekend as well.
Yeah. I could see both of those happening. Now, I'd be absolutely delighted if Villa go out and win 4-0 tonight as well. So that would be fantastic. But a 1-0 win, don't care how it goes in. If it has to go in off John McGinn's the back of his head or whatever, I don't know. I don't care, but I think a win tonight would be huge. I think the club need to get a win after the month we've had, and we need to start to push on now into Christmas. 7 games in 21 days, so we need some results soon.
We need to get out this bad patch.
We do. We absolutely do, yeah.
Well, I want to say as well, everyone tonight, good luck to everyone who's lucky enough to go to the game, like myself, and if you do see me at the game, which you can always come up to me from there, and enjoy yourselves. Well, Neil, you've been a great guest. I'll not say thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Wasn't for you, the episode wouldn't be possible.
Yeah, no, look, listen, as I said, when you reached out to me last night, and I was free, I was absolutely delighted to be asked to come on. So thank you so much. Keep up the great work you're doing here with the podcast.
Thank you very much. But also, on the 5th of December, me and Michael Huggins will be announcing the draw of the chocolate hamper. So if you want to get the draw of the chocolate hamper, go to my Just Giving page, which is pinned to my X post. If you donate £2, make sure to leave your email address as well, and you'll be in the draw. And on Thursday, the 5th of December, I'll be announcing the winner on the show. So good luck at everyone for that competition.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for watching. If you enjoyed this podcast, remember to make sure to subscribe. give the video a thumbs up, smash that like button, give it a share, give it a good review on audio platforms. That always helps as well. Also, enjoy the game tonight, and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Thank you so much, Neil, for your time.
Thank you.
I'm going to wrap up this episode with Villa Forever and Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.